We previously practiced finding O and A and H, opposite, right? We had our opposite sides of our right triangle. That's what we used our O for. We had our adjacent sides of our right triangle, which was our A, and we had our hypotenuse of our right triangle, which was our H. Now, we're going to expand on this, and we're going to start building on it so that ultimately we can use our trig functions to solve problems. So today we're going to introduce to you the trig functions. The trig functions, there are 3 of them. We have the sine function, which is in short SIN. If you look on your calculator, it is S. It is pronounced sine, not sin, because it is actually SINE. Then we have cosine, or COS, and then we have tangent. Those are your 3 function buttons that are on your calculator: sine, cosine, and tangent. Now, the sine function compares the opposite side with the hypotenuse. So it uses O and H. Cosine compares the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. A and H. And then tangent compares the opposite side and the adjacent side. And you'll learn soon how those, how they compare. That's O and A. But this little thing right here, this little word, quote unquote word, it's not really a word. This will be what sticks with you forever. I've been out of high school a long time, and I think I would remember it even if I didn't teach math. You can go home and ask your family, do you know what SOHCAHTOA means? And most of them will at least have some kind of recollection. So this is just a mnemonic that helps us to remember what goes with what. So sine, S stands for sine, is opposite and hypotenuse. So SOH, opposite and hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent and hypotenuse. And then we have tangent, and that's opposite and adjacent, OA. So we have opposite, sine is opposite and hypotenuse. CAH, cosine is adjacent and hypotenuse. And TOA, TOA, tangent is opposite and adjacent. So it's just a way to help you to remember what to use. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to start looking at the information that you were given so that you can decide, would you use the sine function, the cosine function, or the tangent function? Again, we're not solving anything left yet. We're just learning how to recognize what we would need to use so that when we get closer to it, then we'll know how to do these problems. So here's what it looks like. We're going to look at the angle that we have, and just like we did previously, we're going to label our O, our A, and our H just like we did before. So I have that my H goes here on the side with the 16 because that's my hypotenuse. And then according to where this 51-degree angle is, this side that's labeled with X, that is the adjacent side, and this side that doesn't have anything labeled on it is opposite. So you go in and you label your opposite, your adjacent, and your hypotenuse. Now, here's what you have to do. You have to decide, would you use sine or cosine or tangent based on what you have. So what I've been given uses A and H. So if you go back to your SOHCAHTOA, A and H is ka. So ka, toa. So if you use A and H, that uses cosine. So if you want to make a little note up here, cosine, that'd be sine and that'd be tangent. So if you have A and H, you're going to use cosine. So that's all you need to write. You just need to decide, based on what I have, do I have O and H, A and H, or O and A? And then you would decide, do you use sine or cosine or tangent? So look at the angle where it is. I have this 56-degree angle. I always find my hypotenuse first. So my hypotenuse is across from my right angle. X is opposite of the 56, and the 25 is adjacent. Now, the two sides that I have labeled that have numbers or letters on them, I have O and A. So if I go back up to SOHCAHTOA, OA is TOA, that's tangent. So I would use the tangent function. Okay, the next example. I have this 38-degree angle. I'm going to locate everything compared to this 38-degree angle. So 16 is my hypotenuse. I always locate that first. Then from the 38, this side is my opposite side, and this side is my adjacent side. Now, notice I'm locating all three sides, even though I only need two of them. Now, once you get good at this, you don't have to find all three sides, but it's good practice in the meantime. So then let's look and see what we have. The two sides that have labels, I have H and O. The two that use H and O would be OH, so that would be sine, SOHCAHTOA. You will want to keep SOHCAHTOA visible at all times when you're doing these problems because you're going to use it all the time. I still do, even as long as I've been doing math. Okay, so let's look at this next problem. This next problem is one that would enable us to find an angle. So we don't know what this angle is, but it is labeled, so I'm still going to mark it. So I have the angle, and I look at my sides. Again, find your hypotenuse first. Then the 8, the side that's labeled 8, that's your opposite side. And the side that's labeled 17, that's touching it, that's your adjacent side. So remember, adjacent means that it's beside it. Opposite means it's across from it. So now we go back and we decide which one are we going to use. I have A and O. So SOHCAHTOA, the one that uses A and O is tangent. Have this 50-degree angle that we're looking at. Label all your sides. Y is your hypotenuse. 12 is your opposite side compared to that 50-degree angle. And this empty side is your adjacent side compared to that 50-degree angle. So the sides that I have information on is this 12, which is the opposite side, and this Y, which is my hypotenuse side, and O and H, SOHCAHTOA, so that has to be sine, S-O-H, sine. Then this last question, we have this 56-degree angle right here. Look where everything is relative to your angles and your right angles. So this 16 is your hypotenuse. This blank side right here is your opposite, and this Y is your adjacent. So your adjacent side, so of the pieces that I have that I've got something labeled on, I have something labeled on my adjacent side, and I have something labeled on my hypotenuse, A and H. So SOHCAHTOA, that is my AH, which is cosine, and so you would use cosine. So it is very, very important that you remember that sine uses the opposite side and the hypotenuse side. Cosine uses the adjacent side and the hypotenuse side. And then tangent, TOA, SOHCAHTOA, tangent uses the opposite side and the adjacent side. So right now we just want to recognize what sides do I have so that I can know which function do I